Hey everyone. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about dreams. There are a million books out there on dreams, a lot of psychological, done by different famous psychiatrists and things like that on dreams, and it can be kind of overwhelming when you first start really paying attention to your dreams, especially in the witch community. uh, and I would even extend that to like psychics and mediums as well. um, Dreams can be really tricky, and my first advice on when you first start really getting into the dream world and trying to understand your dreams is when you come across dream interpretation books that have very finite examples, like if you dream about a snake, it's this, and if you dream about an apple, it's this. I would not get those. And the reason why I say that, and not to say that maybe they can't be helpful, for me, they never were. And this is my theory why, and I'm sure people will agree or disagree. This, like I said, this is just my theory and my experience. But for me, those kinds of books don't really make much sense because dreams are often, well, in my experience, are always a product of our own subconscious. And you can read different people who will agree with that as far as like in the wonderful world of psychiatry. So whenever you have a book that says, well, if you dream of this, it means this, unless that object that you're dreaming about, whatever it may be, actually had, and that meaning that the book gives has some kind of relevance to you, it doesn't really mean that. This is your own mind working things out, and even then, even if you believe that your dreams are sent to you by the universe, spirit, deity, whatever you deem that to be, um, even then, they're not going to send you dreams that you're not going to be able to understand. You see what I mean? Like, they're not going to send you a dream and it have a meaning that you cannot grasp from your own mind, something that you can't relate to yourself. So that is why dream interpretation books that have specific, very finite meanings to me are not very helpful. No one sees things the same, and no one has the same interpretations for different objects, whether they be innate objects or sentient objects. We all have our own perceptions and experiences with these things. Even when it comes to colors, we all our own. No one can see anything the way you see things. You might see the color red as a, and we all know what the color red is, but your idea of red may not be exactly like mine because you don't see through my eyes. It's not as generic as all that. As much as we all might be able to point to a color and say, oh, this color is red, our ideas of the shade of that color can be very different. You know what I mean? We might think, oh, that's cherry red. I might look at red and think that's cherry red, and you might think, no, that's more like, you know, wine red or whatever. And we all see things very differently. Literally, no one sees the world the way you see the world. And I don't mean just in the sense that, some of us have better eyesight than others, some people are colorblind or anything like that. It's just the way we interpret the images that we perceive. So when it comes to dream interpretations, books can be very useless to me. And you can, I've read so many different books by different people. Like Carl Jung has a lot of stuff out there about dream interpretation and understanding, psyche, and it's very mystically inclined. So there is that, and those things can help, but truly to understand your dreams, you have to understand your own mind and how it works. Such as, I'm a very visual person. I like to see. I learn from seeing. I like, even whenever I think about something that I want to make, whether it is art or a scrub or a spell or whatever, I picture it visually how I want the product to look when I'm done in my mind, and then I break it down and build it back up to see how I want it to manifest. What I need to make it look like that. So, depending on the person that you are, your dreams are going to be different. Your perception of those dreams are going to be different. Everything's going to sort of mean something different to you. So now you're probably wondering, like, okay, so how am I going to figure out my dreams? How do I understand my dreams? So the best way, and please, I know everyone says journal, 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 write them down. And honestly, it's the best way. And if you're not a visual or hands-on person, if you are more of an audio learner, learning by listening, then record them. Do videos just like this, and if you don't want to share them, just keep them private and record them. It's all going to be based on your learning, but usually if you're both visual or hands-on or a mixture of both, then journaling, and I just created this the other day. Cute. But anyway, journaling helps. And this is new. I don't have anything in it right now. I filled my last one, and I would show you stuff from that, but it's really kind of personal, so it makes me very uncomfortable to show such personal things. So, but in my dream journal, it just depends. I'll write down my dreams, and sometimes I'll just do some free association, where I write down my dreams and just write down the things that come to my mind first, and that's how I can figure out a dream. I've learned over the years, because I've been doing this for years and years, since I was a teenager, that I understand how certain dreams feel. That might not make sense, but like, say, if it is a precognitive dream, that my dreams that tend to have some sort of future-esque, this is a possibility that could happen, tend to be very abstract, very almost artistic. Like, they could be black and white where certain things just appear in color, or they could not make any sense, but then a voice is like narrating, kind of like a movie, narrating the story for me to make sure I pay attention to certain things. So my precognitive dreams tend to be very abstract and like silly, just I'm processing my daydreams, tend to be just kind of ridiculous, and have no point. But the only reason I figured all these things out, and like past life dreams, I've had several of those, they tend to be very, I don't even know how to explain this, but I see them in both a first-person perspective and a third-person perspective, like as both the person experiencing it and the observer. And I know that kind of doesn't make sense, but that's how I usually perceive them. Almost like memories. You know how you will remember something, but you can see yourself in the memory, even though while that experience was happening, you weren't seeing yourself. You were, seeing it from the first person. It's kind of like that. So, and always why I figured that out is because I kept really good documentation of my dreams and recorded every single thing that I felt, saw, tasted, heard. Like I said, when I'm processing just the day, which is more of the scientific understanding of dreams, is your subconscious is processing what you've experienced that day, they are not very realistic. You know, they are kind of abstract, but they're just kind of ridiculous. You know, it's there's a feeling about them that's different. I can tell because I've experienced it so much that it is just my brain processing what I've done that day or that week or whatever. And whenever it is something important, something I need to pay attention to, whether it is a premonition or anything of that nature, something that is going to help me progress in my spiritual path, they feel different. You know, they feel more tangible, more real, almost like you can reach out and touch something. Even the premonitions that are abstract still have a very real feel about them. So, and that's just how my psyche works. That's how my thought processes work and how my brain functions. Even when interpreting mystical, magical things, my brain has a way of doing that that is a kind of routine. Once you understand that pattern and that routine, things become so much clearer and you're able to understand your dreams a lot better. So it's why it's kind of frustrating when, like, those of you who watch regularly know that I'm part of Deviant Witchery, and people ask in our group, you know, well, I had a dream about this. What does that mean? It's kind of impossible to tell that person because it's their dream, it's their experiences, and they have to figure it out. You know, nothing, very few things are finite in everyone's perception. We don't all think about things the exact same way. Like, I don't know anything, honestly, that is thought of exactly the same by anybody ever. You know, we might agree on certain things and you find similarities or commonality between two people. It's how we find our tribe and how we find our partners and things like that. But even still, even though you get to the same point, the journey there is very different. I hope that makes sense. So whenever it comes to dreams, everyone's journey of how they got to that specific dream or interpret, you know, that symbol in a specific way is different. Everyone's journey there is different. So it is a very personal um, journey in figuring out your dreams. You know, there's no real guidebook because everyone works so differently and perceives things in their own unique way. So the best thing to do is figure out your own mind. As much as that sounds like a very mundane thing, but not just that, figure out how you perceive messages. You know, you can have a dream that is just a collection of things that you've seen throughout the day that at the time meant nothing because, you know, your mind, as much as you might not even remember perceiving or looking at something, your mind collects all of that. Everything that your eyes see, everything that your body feels, everything, every sensory receptor and moment you experience is cataloged in your brain, whether you are conscious of that or not. And so if, let's say, your goddess is trying to tell you something and you just didn't really get the signs, that night you may dream of all these like random moments throughout the day, you know, and she's wanting you to figure that out and put it together. And the best way to do that is by making sure you write it down. Or, like I said, record it on something. Either way, have some kind of documentation that you can look back and see. The more you train yourself to recall memories and write them down, even if at first it's just a piece of a dream. The more your brain understands that it's important, and so it sticks out more each time, if that makes sense. You know, we train our brain to think a certain way. You know, just like you remember the people that you love and it's with you every day, you know their names, you know their birthdays, you know their habits, because you have trained your brain to remember those things. Like, these people are important and I want you to remember everything about them. So you trained your brain to remember those things. The same thing goes with dreams. You can train your brain, gosh, can I say that any more times? You can train your brain to remember dreams. It's all about getting into that habit and repetitive motion. You know, constantly recalling, constantly writing down. And there are some nights that you might not remember anything. There are some nights you might, you know, the next morning you might just remember a small piece. And once you really start working with your dreams, you can start learning how to recall the dreams you don't remember. It's a lot more challenging to do when you don't remember anything. I will say that, regardless of how long you've been doing it. But if you remember a part of the dream and you know you have that nagging feeling that the rest is important, or you just want to know, like, what else was that? I feel like, you know, I just want to know the rest of my dream. There's meditations you can do, um, exercises you can do that will help you recall. Some of the things that I rely on meditation more than anything, and I will write meditations in my dream journal that have helped me recall those dreams that I couldn't quite remember that I felt was important. Like I said, free association writing, where you just write the first thing you think of, even if you just remember a part of it, can help you recall the next step. Sometimes if I write it down in like story format, as though it wasn't a dream, but I'm just writing a story, sometimes that will help me recall dreams. You really just have to find out what is suitable for you, but all of those are really good techniques, you know, depending on how your memory works. But all those are really good techniques on helping you recall the memories of your dreams. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I was wanting to talk to you about mainly, was just sort of an overview of my perception of dreams, why I feel like dream interpretation books, at least the ones that are very finite, such as if you dream of this, it means this. I don't really enjoy those. I don't think they're very helpful. Um, More abstract dream books, as far as like, or more in the psychological realms. Like I said, Carl Jung is one of the better ones. He does a lot of stuff with that. But there's several other people out there that, you know, write about these things in a much broader sense that can give you a little clarity into your own psyche and how you think and how you interpret things, you know. But the best thing to do is be observant, write it down whenever you remember, and pay attention. You know, that's really the biggest thing about dreams. You just need to really pay attention to it, and write down everything you see, feel, hear, smell, taste. Write about how, if it feels very realistic, if it feels very dreamlike, like you know you're dreaming. If it feels like you're in a completely different dimension, you know, your perception of how that dream feels to you, and just every little detail you can recall, because all of those things culminate into one uh, telltale sign of what kind of dream it is. At least for me, my dreams, as I've gotten older and really paid attention, each feel a different way, and I can now I can figure out right when the dream starts and what kind of dream it's going to be. You know, is this going to be relevant? If it's just one of those, I'm processing my daydreams. If it's just one of those crazy, weird, fun dreams and like make absolutely no sense, but you know, funny. You know, there's just all kinds of different dreams that we have, and we have them in different ways. I've had dreams that had no like visual quality at all that I can remember, but I remember all the smells and tastes and feelings and what I heard. It was, you know, some of those are really weird, but you know, they're every dream has such different feels. And the ones that are repetitive as far as the way they feel usually can clue you into what is going on, what meaning it's going to have to you. So pay attention and be as observant as possible and write it down, record it, do a video, whatever it takes. Mine usually are very artistic. Whenever I put them down, I usually try to sketch out anything I remember, um, because my dreams are mostly very, very visual. And even the smallest details can sometimes be very important. So that is how you start out. So have fun, try it, see what comes of it. And I think I will do this as a series, so I'll probably have more tips, tricks, and different things that you can do as far as dreams go. So enjoy and have a wonderful day, y'all. Oh, tonight, speaking of journaling, Michael, the Deviant Witch, and I will be doing our Deviants and Tarot show, and we will be talking about tarot journaling and giving y'all some really cool different ideas to explore that little realm. So watch tonight. I believe it's at 10 o'clock, around 10 o'clock Central Time, 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific. So check it out, y'all. Bye.